So welcome everybody. It's really great to see you all here, and thank you, Michael, for coming. I would like to start with our land acknowledgement. I wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Having said this, we want to get right in the middle of things. Thank you, Michael, for coming. It's my great joy and pleasure to introduce Michael Patlas to you. And to speak about the CARJ, the Canadian Association of Radiologists Journal. He titled his lecture State of the Journal. He's going to talk to you about how the journal's been doing, and I can tell you it's been doing fantastic those last years. It's actually something to be really proud of, and kudos to you, Michael. And also, he will also be talking about ways to get involved as an author, of course, but also ways to get involved as a reviewer and ways to get involved in the entire editorial process, editing process. So we're really looking forward to that. Michael Patlas is Professor of Radiology and Emergency Trauma Imaging Section Chief in the Department of Radiology of McMaster University. He is editor-in-chief for the Canadian Association of Radiologists Journal, and he also edited 5 radiology books and authored more than 180 peer-reviewed papers, editorials, and book chapters. He's been an editorial board member of many other journals, including the AJR and numerous other journals. Dr. Patlas is Vice President of the Canadian Emergency Trauma and Acute Care Radiology Society. He's also an honored fellow of the American Society of Emergency Radiology, the Canadian Association of Radiologists, and the Society of Abdominal Radiology. He also received the gold medal from the European Society of Emergency Radiology this year. So congratulations, Michael. We're really looking forward to your talk, and we would like to have a good discussion in the end. So your questions, when you come up with any questions during Michael's talk, just type them in the chat. I will collect all those questions, and then we'll go into a discussion stage at the end of Dr. Patlas' presentation. So Michael, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Brigitte. Appreciate the invitation. Also, I appreciate the opportunity to come back 20 years after my fellowship in Toronto. Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to all my mentors from fellowship, all my friends at Toronto, many of them, and all people who have collaborated. Many of them are also friends. So the reason to be here tonight is to chat about journal and show people opportunities how to collaborate with journal, to engage. I have a couple of disclosures. I got royalties from Elsevier and Springer, and as Brigitte mentioned, I am on the board of few journals. Just a very quick background. CR Journal is the first specialty journal in Canada, which is nice. And originally, we used to publish 4 issues per year. We still publish 4 issues, but we're definitely growing. We used to have approximately 150 papers for last good 70 years, and now I'll show you that we're doing slightly better. We're really increasing. We have over 300 submissions for last couple of years. 2020 was a slightly outlier because of COVID, and we got so many COVID-related submissions in a journal, but we above 300, and we continue to be there this year, and hopefully doing better next year with your help, with more submissions from University of Toronto. When I started to be an editor, I got many complaints from everybody was complaining that our turnaround time is not great, and it was definitely a very important metric. Just to show you, years ago, our average turnaround time was 84 days, and already for 2 years we had 5 days. and I don't think we can do better with it. So a message, if you send to us, you will hear from us quickly. It can be yay or nay, but it will be definitely quick response. Of course, it depends which kind of paper. If it's short piece, you'll maybe hear from us in a day or two. If it's scientific paper, it can take a couple of weeks, but on average, it's 5 days a week. Sorry, five days for first response. We always on time, and you already have our November issue in your inbox. If you're a member, of course, of CR. We also worked very hard to get rid of the backlog. When present team came on board, we have over 50 papers kind of in different stages. And we also have a transition to new publisher, which is very messy. If somebody edited a journal knows it takes a lot of time and effort to move to new publisher. And it used to be that it took approximately a year or year plus from the time we accepted your paper until it goes to the issue. Now we're doing much better. It takes only approximately 3 to 6 months. And we're getting a lot of credit and support from publisher. We moved from 480 pages to 600 pages, but it was not enough. So 2021, we had almost 900 pages, which means that if you send us good paper, we will definitely find a space to publish it and publish it quickly. Everybody, I'm giving this talk in multiple variations across Canada. Everybody asking only one question: what's your impact factor? Because our impact factor was kind of stable for years, but we're now doing better. We used to be at 1 steadily, and now we're at 4.2. We're definitely not at radiology level yet, but we're going there. It will take a few more years. We're definitely improving. And also, it's very important in which group you are with impact factor. We used to be in Q4, and now we're in Q2. So just to give you some perspective, 3 years ago, we used to be 110 from 130 radiology imaging journals. Now we're 48. So there is some progress. Additional question, which quite often I am asked, where we're getting our papers. And we're very happy that 40% of our papers coming from Canada, and our top 5, no surprise here, China, States, United Kingdom, and India. We're also happy that 70% of our submissions are scientific submissions. It's definitely where we would like to go. We would like to have as many scientific papers as possible. Acceptance rate is 32% for last year, but it drops to 19 when it's coming to scientific paper, and it continues to drop. We're getting more scientific papers, so we're accepting less papers. For review, it's higher for the reasons that some of them we'll talk about it later. I invited presentations that which accepted by definition. So what we do, we publish significant number of guidelines, all guidelines coming from CR or subspecialty societies associated with CR, and very, very popular. Colleagues love them. As you see, there are tons of downloads, and also very popular called altmetrics. We're also very interested, as everybody, why would we be different? We're also very different in AI papers, and we're trying to get as many as possible. And we definitely see growth. We did a special issue on AI last year, and we're getting more and more papers on AI, and we're also very popular with community, with readership. Additional important topic which we are improving and expanding, it's EDI. It's definitely a priority for the journal. And just to show you what we did in the last year, we published multiple papers, which are also well cited and well downloaded. And the vision is to have at least 1 EDI paper per issue. Additional important area, probably the most important development in Canadian academic radiology this year, is competence by design. And we had been very proactive as a journal it started at Queen's, so we got many papers from them, but now we're getting papers from multiple departments. And here I just want to mention Dr. Linda Probin, who is very active in Canadian academic educational community, and she's an excellent resource, sending us multiple submissions on the topic, as you can see, really popular. Additional important topic for us, we want you to read our papers, as we have some evidence that it's more popular. We're really growing our downloads. We're 27% better than last year with downloads. And you see there is an increase. Part of it, which I would also talk about it in a few minutes, now all Canadian papers coming from Canadian universities are open access for free. You don't have to pay $4,000. If you state that you're coming from Canadian university, your paper would be open access for free, and it definitely helps with downloads and citations. We did a readership survey this year, and not to blast everybody with multiple numbers, it just shows that we're doing much better than 5 years ago. Colleagues read the journal, and just more numbers. You know, in order to be successful, you have to make it simple. Originally, historically, journal has multiple submission categories, so it's a little bit difficult to navigate. We decided to simplify it. We killed, sorry for the word, multiple submission categories which had been not very popular. And what we have right now, we have scientific studies, including systematic reviews. We have review papers. We have guidelines, invited editorials, research letter, which is also a scientific paper, just in very condensed format, and letter to the editor. Many colleagues ask me, what's about research letter? It definitely goes to PubMed. It's fully cited. It's just a shorter version of scientific paper, and it gives us opportunity to get more scientific literature quickly. For residents or fellows who are here, I believe it's quite important to check our guidelines before you submit, for a simple reason. If you don't submit according to guidelines, it always makes our reviewers unhappy, and it just probably your chance of acceptance goes down slightly. So it's important to check number of words, number of figures, and we're trying to enforce it for the reasons we really want to get as many papers published quickly. So there is, I would say, a little bit struggle with authors, especially on reviews on guidelines, which are used to be long pieces. So we're trying to enforce number of words and number of images. We do not have limits for number of authors apart from two categories: letters to editor and editorials. And when I say letters, it's only for kind of classical letters. So if you send scientific paper as a research letter, you can include as many people as needed, people who contributed. It's only for letters and editorials, just to make it reasonable. Let's put it this way. Open access. We have this fantastic, absolutely fantastic agreement with CARJ. All universities are included, but what's important to know, and when you submit, you really have to enter your institution as university. If you enter as a hospital, you're not covered, and it's difficult, let's say impossible, to change it later when your paper is accepted and you decline open access. Very difficult to change the license. So just be aware, you don't have to pay for it, where everybody is covered, but just enter it properly. And probably it's a good idea on Scholar One, change it from hospital to university or affiliation. Mentorship for us is very important. We have multiple mentorship programs, and I was very impressed. RSNA reached out to us this year and told that our mentorship programs are so good that they asked us to present at RSNA next year at Editors Forum. What are we doing? So what we're doing it right. We have many editorial board members or standing committee. We also have standing committee who volunteer their time as mentors. They work with Canadian residents. Residents prepare a draft of review, and then we discuss with mentor. And then it's submitted. What's nice for it is that both mentor and mentee get credit for review. And it is a wonderful opportunity for the residents to study to learn how to review properly. We're doing it now 3rd year in a row, and we see a lot of success and a lot of positive feedback from residents. And just one of the residents wrote us an editorial how she enjoys the program. Reviewer recognition. Any journal needs more reviewers. I never met the journal which say, no, we don't want you to review for us. So we definitely need more people. And when we're growing and we're getting more submissions and we're really trying to move quickly, we need more colleagues to help us. So in order to show that some of you doing absolutely amazing job, everybody's doing excellent job, but some colleagues are outstanding. We started with reviewer awards 3 years ago. And if you do high quality reviews and number changes every year, it is 5 for this year, it used to be 7 last year, you get with recognition from us. And we also send the copy as a letter to chair, signed by myself and president of CR. And I do believe it's quite helpful for junior people with promotion. And just show you colleagues. Last year was Dr. Mustafa Labuti. He's now a fellow with you guys, so he's technically U of T. Used to be McMaster. Dr. Killer, you would recognize him. Dr. Muffel from your group got this award last year. And this year it became more competitive. So 7 people did it. And again, Dr. Muffel from your group was one of them. In addition to recognition I mentioned, we also have Editors Award, which is something we took from Radiology. It is an award from best scientific paper. There is a special committee chaired by Karen Renkel from McGill. I'm not part of it, just to make it more objective. And what we're doing, we're looking on 5 most cited papers every year. And committee decide which papers are absolutely outstanding. And last year, it was one of your colleagues, Dr. Murphy, received this award. And this year, it's again Toronto. I don't know where it happens, but it's 2nd year in a row. So Dr. Tyrell and his group got this award. And again, I have no part in it. We sent me email when we decided, that's it. Journal was recognized, and we're really trying to reach to more colleagues. This year, we have 85 reviewers. We need probably at least 200, so ample opportunities to collaborate with us. I'm trying to promote the journal. I almost did half of my cross-country tour. You see, I visited Manitoba, UBC, McGill, Ottawa, Saskatchewan. I presented the CAR a couple of years ago, and I'm going to speak with CAR again in January, just to let colleagues know about opportunities and get more people involved with journal. Also, what we have for residents, we have editor and training position, which is always Canadian resident, PGY free resident. Dr. Mustafa Labusi and Dr. Nancy Jha used to be 2 years ago. Last year, it was Dr. Bogon from UBC, who is going to be fellow here at Toronto soon. And this year, it's Dr. Jackie Chow from Calgary. And I think it's absolutely amazing opportunity for residents and also for us to work with residents and prepare for future leaders of the journal. Editor and trainer expected to review as our mentees and also participate in writing. writing of editorials, writing of papers. Dr. Gon did just fantastic jobs. He has a couple of his editorials, and there are also some scientific papers under review right now, which I would not discuss because some of you can be reviewer for the paper. So, but I do think it's a great opportunity. It is competitive. We get few applications every year, and we decided that for now we will take one person. Can change if we get more interest and more volume, and it's really one-to-one. So I believe it's fantastic year for residents. We're also trying to go outside of academic radiology. Many of our readers are community radiologists, so we really don't want to be kind of ivory tower journal. We really try to be relevant for everybody. We published because I participated multiple papers on burnout, which is a quite unfortunately significant issue, and is becoming more significant issue now with pandemic, with all challenges related to pandemic. Also, what we're doing right now, and I think it's going to be relevant for community and academic radiologists, we have a multi-year partnership with CMPA. We would like to get their data without disclosing cases of specific radiologists and look on medical legal data related to Canadian radiology. We're doing now our first paper, which is going to be on breast imaging, which is quite litigious. And we're hoping to do multiple papers in the future, one per year, let's say on emergency, on IR. I think it's very important for everybody. Doesn't matter in which setting you practice, you still have some medical legal exposure, and there is not much literature coming from Canada about Canadian experience. So it's what we're doing internally in the journal. So opportunities. We need more reviewers, always. So I'm hoping after this talk, you will have my email. Everybody can send me email, say, I want to be a reviewer. We will accept it, everybody. If you interested to go eventually to more senior position with a journal, which means become editorial board member or standing committee member, we expect with colleague to review at least 4 papers per year. We're always trying to get more international reviewers for simple reason. First, we're becoming more international. We're getting tons of international submissions. Second, it's issue of conflict. For example, if I get paper from, from Toronto General, Sunnybrook, it's not far enough for reviewers. So I really need people a little bit more remote to make it more objective. And we need significant number of international reviewers to avoid the conflict. It also helps us when we get multi-site projects coming from multiple Canadian institutions. So we really need somebody from outside to review it. We want to grow. We want impact factor to grow. So we're asking more senior colleagues to write invited editorials, and this opportunity is open for people who review for us. It's also, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for kind of junior senior collaboration. We allow up to 4 people on editorial, so resident or fellow or junior faculty can partner with somebody senior and write it together. And it's very simple. It's 1,000 words, no images, and you commenting on paper published by the journal, predominantly on scientific paper, occasionally on some outstanding review or guideline. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get involved for junior people. We also have invited papers on hot topics. And here again, we're trying to get senior and junior people involved together. Just show you a few examples for the last few months. We got one from Dr. Kirkpatrick from Manitoba on ischemia. And we got a couple from Dr. Reinhold, one on ORADs for ultrasound, and one for adenomyosis. Just a word about Dr. Reinhold. She's an absolutely wonderful champion for the journal. Today, we published one more from her papers on MR for ORADs, but this opportunity is definitely open for everybody who is interested in the journal and interested to collaborate with journal. We're very proud that we made ANTME list this year. We didn't get it, you know what? We got to semifinals, but when we didn't win. But at least, you know, probably first time in many years, we had been on the same list in New England, Radiology, and some other very respected journals. So it's nice for us to be recognized. What we're planning to do this year, and again, we will run Editors Award again. So if you want to submit high quality scientific paper, you can be winner next year. Every month we tweet about our most downloaded paper. We will continue with invited editorials. You probably will see more invited editorials. Dr. Gonk and myself, we analyzed our journal, and we see that we, CR journal, percentage of invited editorials is not high. Let's say to comparison to many radiology journals. So we would like to have more editorials. And I think it's also very interesting. Sometimes readers read editorial and then we go to paper. We will continue with state-of-the-art papers. What we recently published MR for abdominal trauma. We'll also get fantastic paper from Dr. Goyal from Calgary on stroke imaging. He's a stroke imaging, so it's kind of. We will continue with research letters to get more papers accepted. Definitely will continue with editor and training. Just a couple of weeks ago, I talked with a new group of residents through the residency section of CR, talk with them about opportunities with the journal. And we have multiple excellent international collaborations. Journal is very strong in France, for example. Editor-in-chief of French journal, Professor Soar, he's on our editorial board. We're very strong in Italy, in Ireland, and we would like to expand to additional countries to get more high quality papers and more collaborations, more reviewers. We have international advisory board, which we get in really very high-end colleagues from States and from elsewhere. And it's opportunity for us to become more international. And don't forget, 60% of papers coming outside of Canada, so we really want more people to collaborate with us. And here's my opportunity to say thank you to so many people who helped me. First, two former editors, Brian Lentil and Peter Monk, who I spent many hours on emails and phone when I started just how to do it properly. To all editorial board members and scientific committee members, and specifically from your group, Anya Killer, Sebastian Maffeld, Brigitte Ertel-Wagner, people who really contribute tons of time for the journal, reviewing, writing papers, and it takes a team. It's definitely a team approach. I would like to thank CR board, all the presidents who had been really involved in many talks late at night, how to do something, to staff my team in the CR journal, Casey Harrell and Colette Kaplan, and obviously all editors across the world who have been willing to share their experience with me, tell me how to do it right. And it's a small community of editors, but people are very helpful. So happy to take any questions about journal and how to get involved. And here's my email. If you want to reach me afterwards talk, please email me.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was great, and thank you so much for all the hard work you've been doing for the journal. It's been quite amazing seeing it flourish and seeing it change so much in the last 4 years, and that's really impressive. And I think it's great for Canadian radiology to have a journal like that. It does make a big difference. So I got a ton of questions here in the chat. Some were addressed directly to me, so I'm going to read them out. I have a bunch of questions myself too. So we're going to have a nice discussion together. First question by Shiva Hiramat. How do we get started to become a reviewer, to be a reviewer for the journal? he specifically asked about the radiological portion of the journal. He hasn't been part of the mentored reviewing process and wants to know how to become a reviewer for the CARJ.
Sure. See, there are ways. First, for residents, I think it's great to go through the mentorship program, and we advertise every year, approximately in July, August, and we close it in September. For staff radiologists, I think that the best idea just you can email me, or you go to website. There is an emails of the staff, and we will add you to our reviewer pool. I think it's very important just also to let me know what's your area of interest, and also important to know that we're not going to overload you. My expectation from average reviewer to do maybe 2 per year would be very reasonable. Again, if you want to go get an award, then you have to push a little bit more and do maybe 5. But I never ask anybody to do 2 reviews per month, for example. It's not reasonable, and I know that you will just lock your account and would never let me invite you again. So feel free to email me.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Next question by Patrick Rogala. Could the CARJ consider category technical development? Such a category would attract a lot of innovative ideas and prototype developments. Not many journals offer such an opportunity.
I tell you, we used to have originally technical note, and it was not very popular. We didn't get many submissions, and we didn't have many downloads. So we decided to remove it. I believe if you have a nice technical idea, there are ways to submit it using our established categories. If you think it's good enough for review paper, please write to me. And I cannot be specialist in all areas of radiology. So we have excellent board of approximately 15 people on all possible subspecialties. So I will definitely pass your idea to colleague, let's say, who is interventional or neuroradiologist, and ask, what do you think? Because we have to try to publish stuff which would be relevant to all our readers, or majority of our readers. Majority of readers still non-academic radiologists, and way more interested, let's say, in reviews, guidelines, and scientific papers. Everything else, just less popular. So we really want, it's an excellent question. It probably take me a long time to answer. We really try to find a common denominator. We really try to find submissions which will be relevant to many Canadian radiologists. I don't think we're the perfect journal for something extremely rare. I'm not talking a case report, but something, let's say, that only 5 or 10 people in Canada do, just because we really want to try to please everybody, which is difficult.
Radiology has a category, technical note or technical development, which is a shorter original article. And what that means for radiology is that A, it's shorter, B, it allows to present a novel idea without too many participants as yet. So usually when you only have like 5 or 10 participants who you included in your study, usually wouldn't fly as a typical original article, but it may fly as technical development. And with the impact factor increasing, it might become something that the CARJ may want to reconsider, because it might be it's not something that's so common, but sometimes it's nice to have.
I do think that this kind of paper can go as a research letter.
True too.
Yeah.
How many words do you allow for your research letters?
600.
600. Okay, that's yeah.
Which is similar similar to radiology. Yeah. I tell you, I'm working now on different talk, which is on state of academic radiology in Canada, and I'm looking on numbers. We have only 800 academic radiologists in Canada, approximately. Last numbers that we have, It's from 2019, but I don't think it's changed significantly. So you should understand that this group is quite a small group. And many people who read us were general community radiologists. I don't know if general radiologists still exist, but let's say community radiologists. So, for example, I don't see many submissions on classical radiology, which it used to be before. Just to say, we're really interested in any kind of papers, but we're very much interested, obviously, in NI. We see very significant interest in cardiac imaging. We just got a paper from one of your colleagues, invited paper, Dr. Kate Henneman, a few months ago, and I see tremendous number of downloads on imaging of myocarditis. So just give you an example of something that really we see people read it. People read.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Next question. Is the mentorship program limited to Canadian radiologists only?
As a mentis, yes, for now. And it's only, we tried how to make it reasonable for mentors, which have a limited number. So it's only PGY3 and PGY4 residents for simple reasons. We don't want to take PGY2. They don't have enough knowledge of radiology yet. And PGY5, it's all about board. So we really have no time. So for now, yes, there was a lot of talk that we should include fellows. The problem with fellows, they usually here for 1 year, so it's tough to have a long-term commitment to the journal. Also, we really very, very cautious and selective with our mentors. Our mentors are totally fantastic, kind of. So we really need people who are willing to volunteer enough time, and it's for mentor, just to understand, it's significant time commitment. There are a couple of Zoom meetings, so there is a lot of work. So for now, yes, for now it's only open for Canadians, and definitely can change in the future if we get more mentors on board.
Sounds great. Next question by Dr. Ko. Should submission of papers be mainly tailored for Canadian readership, or does the journal want to target a wider audience like North America, Europe, Asia Pacific?
Oh, absolutely. Whatever you think it's relevant, please do it. Of course, we're only one journal who gets Canadian content, or predominantly Canadian, but any good paper would be accepted and published. Let's say opposite. Sometimes people send us papers about some kind of rare entity, which is we don't see in Canada, let's put it this way. So there is less enthusiasm to publish it, just because majority of people would never see this kind of entity. But everything which is relevant for, let's say, North American or world audience, of course, we would be interested. And we very much, as everybody else, interested in cutting-edge topics, new technologies, what's hot and what's happens right now in imaging. So we see multiple MR submissions on, because there is a lot of developments. We see significant number of dual energy CT submissions. But everything which is relevant, we would like to do. We would like to accept.
That's great. Next question by Dr. John Couture. What initiatives led to the increase in impact factor? What were other reasons for the impact factor increase that weren't intentional, that were not intentional?
Well, it is a great question. I just think we're doing a good job. short answer. Long answer. We really we do multiple guidelines. And guidelines are very popular. Canadian guidelines are good. Also with COVID, I'm fortunate. I'm married. My wife is an epidemiologist. So she told me COVID is here in February 2020. And we started to get COVID papers quickly when multiple journals still didn't know what's going on. And this COVID wave of papers definitely help us for simple reasons that we published them quickly. We already have our first publications accepted in March of 2020, so it definitely helped. And overall, I believe the turnaround time is extremely important. it's so competitive. There are multiple open access journals these days. So we trying to be very, very proactive. And we noted that we get more high quality submissions from Canada. Let's say there are many members of your group who didn't submit for us 2 years, for years. I'm not going by names, and it changed. We rarely see more submissions, people from colleagues from big names. And I think it's when you get better submissions, your impact factor is going up. When you get high impact factor, you get better submissions. But it's also important to be on time and do it quickly. Yeah, you know, HR is close to us with turnaround time, but we quite high in comparison to many journals. So I hope it's what caused us to grow with impact factor. Of course, I do not know what would happen post-COVID. Are we going down? And I believe that many journals significantly went up with COVID-related citations. We'll see. I hope we will stay. And also I hope we will improve with more high-quality submissions.
Great, thanks. Next question. Question from Dr. Eva Hori. Question from a first-year diagnostic neuroradiology fellow. Must you be invited to write one of the letters on a hot topic, or is it possible to submit such a letter for consideration? Of course, working with the staff is expertise in the area. Thank you for a great talk.
Thank you very much for your comment. And here, you do not need invitation. There are two options. If you want to write a letter and comment on our papers, you don't need invitation. Also, if you want to write your project as a research letter, you also don't need invitation. You only need invitation from us for invited editorial or invited review paper. Everything else, please feel free. And for guidelines, important to remember that all guidelines only coming from CR. So again, for junior people, it's a nice option to get involved, to get on one of the CR working group and work on guidelines. Again, these papers are really well cited. Very useful and also very well cited.
Okay, great. Thank you. Question from another fellow. How can fellows get involved in reviewing? And how can get fellows involved in the journal at all?
Well, it's reviewing. Probably wait for next year when you become staff radiologist. For everything else, I just submit. You know, you would never know if your paper is accepted until you submit. You have a good idea. There are many experienced people around, talk with them. For review paper, perhaps it's not a bad idea to send me email before and ask if you're interested. I always know what happens in our pipeline. Let's say you have a great idea, but we already invited something very similar from somebody else and it's coming. So it's not going to be good match, but for scientific, just submit. And again, for junior people, it's important to check our guidelines. I see many papers who have been difficult experience with us for technical reasons. When it's too long, too many images. Or also, what's important for junior people, never disclose your institution. Let's say you have your RB, say you accepted RB. Don't say it's coming from Toronto, because it limits my opportunity to send it for review. And maybe somebody from McGill doesn't like you. So just make it blended. I think it's important just to follow the simple rules to make it your life as author easier.
So when people have an idea on a state-of-the-art article / review article, they should just write you an email at eic@carj.
Yes. Yeah.
CAR.ca. Okay.
Yeah, it's under the site, yes, CR.ca. Yes, of course. And also, it's nice to give me some timeline. I know that everybody's late, but at least, you know, journal, it's very complicated operation. So I really, as an editor, I think 2-3 issues in advance. So right now I know what we're going to publish in August of next year. So it's helpful for me. And let's say you're writing paper on MS and somebody else sending paper on MS. I do not want two MS papers on the same issue for the reason, again, I won't be relevant for everybody. So it just helps me to know what you're going to submit and when you're planning to submit it. And I assume that you're going to submit slightly later, but reasonably later.
All right, makes sense. When was the deadline for your editor and training program?
It's also applications in late July, August, and our decisions in September. Okay. A new person starts October 1st. So tons of, and it's very simple. For residents, you have to send your CV and half-page letter why you're going to be good editor and trainer. So we don't need you to write essay, just.
And is your editor and training program remote only, or does it have an in-person component?
For now, remote only. We're really a big country, and office of the CR located in Ottawa. I'm at Hamilton, so yes, we do it remotely, but it's quite intense. I used to get multiple emails per day from editors training with different ideas and questions. We have been very, very fortunate with people, a lot of engagement. But for future, who knows? A pandemic, hopefully, we're hoping that going away, and then we can come with more ideas and more opportunities.
Yeah, it would be nice. Maybe even like for a retreat or something. It's kind of nice to have some in-person component where you get to meet everyone.
Yes, I tell you, I think that also in-person component would be annual meeting, which is coming back to normal in-person format from next April. So we definitely can do something. And if colleagues are interested in academic opportunities, there are so many. For example, Dr. Goan presented with me at multiple forums, and Dr. Alabusi, and we will continue to present. So if you want to be engaged, there are tons of opportunities to get engaged. It's just a question of what you would like to do.
That's great. No, that's wonderful. Quick question from my end. Did anything change for you as an editor-in-chief after your impact factor went up?
Yes, we have a tremendous number of submissions, which we didn't have before. You expect those, and we're not radiology, of course. Our numbers are different, but we have a relatively small pool of reviewers, and our submissions have just gone through the roof. Last few months, especially from September, we have been very busy. And I hope it will continue this way. Just we really want to get more papers, then we can be selective. I know that some of my colleagues stop talking with me because we reject more, but what can I do?
That's part of the deal. When you get more when you get more submissions, you have a higher percentage of rejections, which is in the end good because it's going to further drive your impact factor. And I do think you mentioned it in your presentation. I actually do think this moving up into the second quarter, like it basically means all journal impact factors are listed from top to bottom. It makes a big difference because promotion criteria in some countries and some institutions are based in what quarter in this field you lie, which makes you eligible to be counted, and that will also be a driver. No, that's great, and yeah, I expected that you would get a lot more submissions, which is good. It's what you want to see.
Absolutely, and we're getting more. I know that with issues Q1 and Q2, extremely important in Europe, also with grants. So I see we get significantly more submissions from Europe in the last few months. And I'm hoping it really will continue the trend. Our vision for, let's say, for next 5 years is becoming more international. We really do not want to be in this kind of niche of only Canadian journal. Of course, we will publish Canadian content, but there are no borders for radiology, for any science. So we would like to get more submissions from everywhere.
Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. And I think it's a bit of, and it's always a bit of this trade-off, no matter what journal you are in. It's actually the same for radiology too. On the one hand, you have to serve a general audience because it's a journal that serves a general radiology and all subspecialty audience and not just one subspecialty. But at the same time, you can also publish unusual articles. Especially when you're in a bit of this luxurious state where your impact factor is somewhere where you're already very happy about it, you can take a bit of risks in taking some papers where you think, oh, this is pushing the field. It might be a bit too avant-garde as yet, but you can still, you can afford one like that once in a while. That goes
Absolutely. And also, I was wrong multiple times. There have been quite a few submissions which I thought not going to be cited at all, and I was wrong. So you're not always, it's impossible to know all developments and all subspecialties of radiology. So if something looks quite, trivial to me, it's not always the case. And this is a reason it's very important to have a board of many subspecialty experts from different areas, just to get a lot of knowledge what's hot in different areas. And it's totally, what I'm abdominal, obviously my fellowship abdominal radiologist, so I not always know what happens in cardiac or neuro. I can definitely spot a very bad paper. It's easy. But when it's coming to good or kind of borderline good, then you really need more colleagues get involved and help.
And no matter how high ranking your journal is, be it radiology or be it the New England Journal of Medicine, so no matter how high up the impact factor ladder you go, when you look at the citations per article, every journal has articles that do not get cited. And that's fine. Not every article must get cited. And sometimes, once in a while, you have articles that don't get cited for some years, and then all of a sudden they go through the roof. They were just a bit early for their time. So I think in the end, every journal has to have a mix of sure, those are going to be cited a lot, like guidelines, and then some of those articles were like, they might get cited a lot or not at all. But it's part of, I think, the potpourri that we're having.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's interesting. You try to have a crystal ball, doesn't always work, but I think it's important to be open-minded, and ask. Sometimes, when it's kind of on the fence, it happens to us that we like the idea, but we do not like some. There are some flaws in execution, so we ask people to resubmit after rejection. And I found it's great because if people resubmit, it's usually becoming a very strong article. If we're willing to do what reviewers ask them to do and resubmit, then it's great.
No, fully agree. So thank you so much. Thanks for a great presentation. Thanks for a great discussion, both to you, Michael, and to everybody here on the call. Lots of questions, lots of discussion. Thank you for making this so lively. It was a lot of fun. It was great to have you all here virtually. Would have been nice in person, but it was great to have this online discussion. And thanks to all of you for being so involved and for asking questions and for being so present. And yeah, once again, thanks for a great presentation. We really all enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Brigitte, for the invitation. And I'm looking, if you have any additional questions and we run out of time, so please email me. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks. Thank you.